Well, thank you very much for your time this morning. A very good morning to you and welcome to Wake Up News live on Globe TV with me, Sandra Edu-Bwai. Now coming up, the arrest warrant for Nabohagu Mahama Abdullahi Sheriga, the Nairi of the Mampuku traditional area and his kingmakers, has been revoked by the Bolgatanga High Court. And also, government advised providing incentives to motivate teachers to accept postings in rural communities. We have for you President of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Mrs. Rose Margaret Asubonten, says the country does not have a comprehensive digital map based to support geoinformation delivery. And also coming up this morning, the Environmental Protection Agency has asked members of the public to start putting on nose masks and also restrict the patronage of outdoor events to prevent health risks associated with air pollution. Residents of Mayanke community in the Techiman South municipality are calling on the Municipal Assembly to immediately ensure the removal of a refuse dump in the area. Well, we have for you the details of these stories and many more coming up to you on the Wake Up News, including sports. Please do stay. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Let's start with education. The Education Director of Ekumfi District in the Central Region, Mr. Isaac Oscar Odum, has lamented the teacher deficit across schools in Ekumfi. According to him, the situation is impeding teaching and learning in the district. He has also noted that the situation might threaten other teachers to leave their duties. He pointed out the problem when the MP of Ekumfi, Abeku Krenso, presented some chop boxes and trunks to the Ekumfi district.
Teachers in classrooms make teaching and learning smooth, but when there is a shortage of teachers, the situation turns otherwise. The achievements of students become poor, and teachers have to take control of either 3 or 2 classes, which increases the burden on them. The situation sometimes discourages other teachers from doing their job. In Ekumfi district, several schools have teacher deficits, impeding teaching and learning. The Education Director of the district, Isaac Oscar Odum, has thus expressed worry about the unfortunate outcome. He, however, wants the government to pay heed to their plight.
Our challenge of teachers. This year, most of my classroom teachers, no matter how. So we need teachers, but they have recently given us information young submit for at least vacancies so that they bring in the posted teachers. And the teaching, this is a headache. I have schools that have 7 teachers, 8 teachers, and I don't think that is the way we should go. It's a watching rate. The teachers have a way of going. To release, they know directors are not ready. They will go for steady leave. And then which you can't stop somebody who has secure admission. Until we are hoping that they will replace the teachers.
The MP for Ekumfi, Abeku Krenso, presenting chop boxes and trunks to BEC graduates to lessen the burden on parents, also urged the government to extend dates of reports of new students to help parents to prepare their wards for school in these difficult times.
Sometimes we will reach the results, about placement the timeline, now very short. Within 2 weeks or that, from actually 2 weeks or that, from Oku school. Now, if the situation we find ourselves, and maybe we are.
Some parents and students, for their part, expressed their gratitude towards the kind gesture of the MP.
yɛda no ase wɔ de awayɛ ama yɛn yɛn nyinaa yɛni asɔ sɛ bi nyɛ obiara na wofo betumi atɔ chobox ne trunk ama no na sɛ mp adaro ma yɛnya chobox ne trunk a yɛda no ase na ɔnkɔ so anyɛ n'adwuma pa ogu so yɛ
nanti yaso yɛ ho kyerɛ especially ne wo nkras na yɛ ho kyerɛ pa wo sikasɛm nti ni ani media mani na mom sɛ mp be ma yɛ chobox sa na trunk sa na chobox yɛ to ba ko na sɛ bi benya no bɛyɛ 150 cedi 120 cedi simpa media mp wate house bebre ama na mo media.
We are still on education. The Ghana Education Service over the years has expressed concern about the refusal of teachers to accept postings to several areas across the regions of the country. The action has led to a shortage of teachers in these areas, impeding quality education. The situation, according to the teachers and some stakeholders, is due to the deplorable conditions of these schools. Speaking to Alexander Ohene-Eje on the Yasino Sang show on Globe TV on Tuesday, Mr. Adama Kaulibali, an educational consultant on ways to improve the situation, called on the government and the Education Ministry to post teachers who are familiar with such areas. He advised that the government ensure the provision of better accommodation and some other incentives to motivate their stay.
Refusing to go to the rural area, somehow it isn't the teachers making. We have equally people who are from those areas and who want to be in those areas. We need to do scouting to fish out people who really come from those areas and are willing to stay there to give education to our kids. And when we get those people, we give them some packages, incentive packages, especially their accommodation. That's a major thing. Because when you're going to the rural area, everybody has his or her hut where they are staying. And they might not have maybe the thinking of providing a small hut for a teacher who might come to stay in the rural area with them. So I have the view that government needs to do more by clustering those villages. Sometimes the villages are not far from one another. We can cluster them and get one better school at a center for them, where there is a nice accommodation for the teacher, and the teacher should be mobile. Even if it is a motorbike or a bicycle, the teacher could visit the villages in case a child fails to come to school. And the Ghana education system is in that we have to let the parents understand that they have more quota to contribute to the education of their children. Refusing to go to the...
Now, President of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Mrs. Rose Margaret Asubonten, says the country does not have a comprehensive digital map base to support geoinformation delivery. The lack of digital map data, she stressed, is fueling a race among many public agencies to acquire and process their data. She added that this creates serious challenges with accuracy and compatibility because the state mapping agency is not resourced to provide this basic need.
Speaking at the launch of the 18th Surveyors Week and the 54th General Annual Meeting, she said, the absence of an integrated land information system and database which would provide the requisite information to support bodies such as local assemblies and the Ghana Revenue Authority to boost revenue from property rates and other land-based revenues was needed.
The lack of digital map data is fueling a race among many public agencies to acquire and process their own data. This creates serious challenges with accuracy and compatibility because the state mapping agency is not resourced to provide this basic need. Another gap is the integrated land information system and database. The absence of this is frustrating the ability to provide the requisite information to support bodies such as local assemblies and the Ghana Revenue Authority to boost revenue from property rates and other land-based revenue. Leverage on strong digital and electronic workflow processes to ensure greater interoperability between the Lands Commission and other bodies such as banks and financial institutions to facilitate collateralized lending, as well as the judiciary to facilitate land dispute resolution. Also, to facilitate the speedy delivery of secure and credible land titles within limited time frame, as well as merge disparately placed land data into a cohesive information for compensation, assessment, and payment, aligning resource endowments in natural resource sectors, planning infrastructure and transportation projects. Office infrastructure. An obvious gap in the effort to completely digitize land information into modern electronic formats requires these to be hosted in accommodation that ensure their safety, protection, and longevity.
She said there is a need to develop office infrastructure for the newly created regions beside Accra and Kumasi to support the operation of the public sector land agencies.
These facilities are available in the regions besides Accra and Kumasi. There is a need to develop office infrastructure, especially for the newly created regions, in order to support the operations of the public sector land agencies. So a bit about the GHIS role in facilitating measures for improvement. By its nature, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors has a wide membership that straddles all the levers of the land administration space. It is incumbent to build partnerships to leverage these strengths in the public, customary, and local government spheres. Recent interventions and support reveal the ability of the institution to support government, its agencies, and partners to improve land administration through some of these.
Now in politics, the Minority Caucus in Parliament, led by its leadership, is calling for the immediate reduction in the number of ministers from 86 to 65. The caucus is also urging President Akufo-Addo to integrate some ministries to bring the number of ministers down as the country is experiencing economic turbulence. The minority leader and member of Parliament for Ejumako Eyan SM, Dr. Ato Forson, addressing the media at a press conference in Parliament, explained that ministries such as information and communication should be merged.
The Ghanaian people have called for a reduction in the size of government, which is a major guzzler of public funds. The Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government is doing the exact opposite of the reasonable common sense approach needed to reverse the horrific decline of our economy and its corresponding effect on the quality of the life of our people. It is unconscionable to know that government has added a whopping 82 billion Ghana cedis to its expenditure for 2023 alone compared to 2022. A couple of weeks ago, the President announced names of nominees for ministerial appointment. We are taking part in the vetting processes so that at the very minimum, we can scrutinize the President's decision in bringing up these nominees. Again, the minority will not subscribe to a consensus vote at the level of the appointment committee. This will ensure that the matter is brought to the full House for a vote to be taken in secret. We are calling on the following. 1. Immediate reduction in the numbers of ministers from the current level of 86 to 65. 2. The merger of the following ministries. For example, 1. Information and communications to be merged. 2. Transport and railways to be merged. Chieftaincy and tourism, 3. 4. Sanitation and local government, among others. And then agric and fisheries, if possible. The immediate reduction in the number of political appointees at the office of the President. We also demand an immediate scrapping of all amorphous creations and waste pipes. Job for the boys. The work of these undefined amorphous creations must revert to established entities in the civil and public services that perform similar,
Meanwhile, the majority caucus in Parliament is appealing to the National Democratic Congress as well as the minority caucus to repeal the decision not to approve the new ministers appointed by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Before the vetting of the newly nominated ministers on Monday, the NDC directed that the minority group not to approve them, describing their appointment as an incentive move that would increase the government expenditure amid an economic mess. Addressing the media, the majority chief whip Frank Anodompre appealed to the NDC and its members in Parliament to support the approval of the ministerial nominees.
I'm here to make an appeal, and I pray you convey my message in an undiluted form to the target appropriately. You are aware our colleagues in the minority, their party has issued a directive that they should all go against the nominees for the various ministerial portfolios put out by His Excellency the President. And as was announced by Parliament duly, the Speaker and the appropriate referral done. Okay, so there have been back and forth arguments about the merits and demerits in this directive. I am just appealing to our colleagues. I am not basing my appeal on any constitutional provision. Of course, we all know the requirements, what it takes to become a Minister of State and a Member of Parliament. These things are spelled out clearly in the Constitution. I just want our colleagues to understand that for the sake of the unity and the desire for us to forge a working relationship, and this is their major decision, major in terms of the fact that, okay, since they come into leadership, this is the first time, more or less, they are going to make such a significant decision. On the House floor today, I have made an appeal. Many of you were, I didn't see many of you in the gallery, I'm sure you were engaged somewhere, that they should temper.
Still to come, High Court withdraws warrants for the arrest of Mampugu overlord. And also, the Environmental Protection Agency has asked members of the public to start putting on nose masks and also restrict the patronage of outdoor events to prevent health risks associated with air pollution. Well, do stay with us for more stories. Welcome back. Now, the arrest warrant for Nabohagu Mahami Abdullahi Sheriga, the Nairi of the Mampugu traditional area, and his kingmakers has been revoked by the Bolgatanga High Court. This comes a few days after the same court issued the warrant requested by a certain Lieutenant Colonel Ajib Badek Benjamin Baba, retired, who had asked the court for the paramount chief's arrest following his unskinment. As a result, the court modified the prior ex parte motion, which is now hereby rescinded under the inherent jurisdiction of the High Court. The reason for the chief's arrest was unclear, but it was unlawful and condemned unskinment of a new chief for Boko on February 15th done at the palace of the Mampugu overlord. The warrant also directed the arrest of Alhaji Seidu Abagri, who was ensconced as the new chief of Boko by the Nairi, despite the recognition of Naba Asigri Abugrago Azoka II as the overlord of Boko. According to report, military personnel assigned to carry out the arrest directed allegedly failed to achieve their mission because they were stopped by some angry youth in Nalerigu. On the night of February 19, the youth allegedly set up roadblocks. The government had declared the ensconcement of a new Boko Naba in Nalerigu to be illegal. The government also stated in a statement that Naba Asigri Abugrago Azoka II is the Boko Naba who has been duly gazetted and is a member of the National and Upper East Regional Houses of Chiefs. Now, moving on, the Environmental Protection Agency has asked members of the public to start putting on nose masks and also restrict the patronage of outdoor events to prevent health risks associated with air pollution. The caution follows the worsening air quality in the country over the last 2 weeks, which has been described by the agency as hazardous to human health. At a press briefing jointly addressed by the Executive Director of the EPA, Dr. Kwabena Kokofu, and the Deputy Director of Quality Assurance at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Mary Eyiram Ashinyo, on Monday, it came to light that the current situation was an extreme form of air pollution that had dire consequences on human health.
In the past few weeks, it was even raining in parts of Accra and the eastern western regions. It was still the Harmattan, but we had a relaxation in the conditions that bring the Harmattan. These things are still there, so until the season is completely over, you can still have them coming back. So let's not rule it out completely when we see the relaxations. Until you have the onset of the rainfall season for us in the country, we should not think that it is over.
Now, much there and say, from a buffer, Paprenoso, Paprenia Desert, Sahara, buffer sosa the Futrona Nam, Futroni bin a chia fire hanum, yehuni, a kaboom. And no Nayakase, and no ho. Nemumiania, Susuyani, be a ye. Emwa, Bini Jashisie, near Mahunusie, Robert Ties. Wira wa prapra ne fie wa dodo ne fie no atwaja atum aduane kura ye noan behwe na ya kaja agum na wisie tatatata nyina ka.
However, from that, let's now focus in the Bono East region, where residents of Mayak community in the Techimai South municipality are calling on the government through the Techimai Municipal Assembly to immediately ensure the removal of the refuse dump in the area. According to them, the refuse dump in the area has become a threat to their health due to its horrible stench.
Solid and liquid waste management has become increasingly prominent, especially in urban areas, which causes diseases like cholera. The horrible stench from the Mayanka refuse dump can be smelled a couple of meters away, but residents keep dumping refuse on the site unconcerned about the circumstances. According to some affected residents, the nature of the refuse dump does not promote good health.
Yes, once I remember Besisu, and Adrian Poa Ebedino. Yantimin Dino Abontini. Even fear am crying to me, Adriano, just say the cura dem. Naya, dear Adriano or dem. Tank near my mumbefa. Not tank near my mumbefa, inti tank near my lamb for so ba. Not tank na ma. Omunfanko uka kura omunfie ben ha uka omutimi bold ya kura kan
semframani huba yentimi home ebe hu politics ni nyina begu ha ekukọ bebi wan se omo ahye no wusie ne kura yentimi home o but enam se ye pe ye kakra di ni nto no ye de animia na ye de te ha bisra sanko mutimi be yifiri ho maya so omo kura omo so nkomu beba betu ne ye tua 50 pesos 1 cedi ne ayi omoya ne sama ye kranka ye pe
bola no mumu de enukre bola no ehaye wa ha because pampai na every mu ba no enye asem kitiwa say mu wa ha be kakra mu be hu say ampa enkoye kura adibia ebombia o hwea timidin so bone bibia yade bi eba mi kura meti hei o be hu se mi kasa mi hwinam kakra kata no.
Although the area is a populated community with adults and children, women and men sometimes openly defecate on the refuse dump, despite a school situated closer to the dump, a situation the residents say is worrying. Speaking to the head teacher of Aswaj Academy, Mr. Misbah Osman, he said the assembly only evacuates the refuse anytime the media visits the site. He said the situation is harmful to the health of students. He therefore called on the municipal assembly to immediately come to the aid by clearing the dump to make living comfortable in the locality.
While still in the Bono East region, commuters who ply the Mampusi Line Road, a community in Sachiman, are lamenting the deteriorating nature of the road. According to them, some holes developed in the road are causing havoc on them. They are therefore calling on the authorities to pay attention to the road. Idrusu Hamzata reports.
Currently, where I am now is a stretch leading the people of Mampusi Line to town. As you can see, the road has started deteriorating, and you can visibly see the iron rod which was used to construct this road. We are here to engage pliers of this road to see how this has really affected them. Peter Kantabe, an Okada rider, cited his unfortunate encounter that nearly cost his life due to the holes in the road. Meanwhile, Pogba, also a rider, noted how an accident injured his passengers when he tried to make a dodge on the road.
Amana da kwan finfin ansan da nchen obetimi afeli atom mo be hia hokra muntimi ma yonko kwan me kra na anu kra me ka se me praga e betowo anim ho amanfo ne beboa me twen yi na kire sanka me wo load a mo betimi apra ana ye betimi ahwe yankwa nti kwan ne de se omo ye gata na kwan no kra me kra nka me hu se hia sene gata no because ahana lives efa sene se ahanum nsu fi na eko nti se omo ye de amonfo se na omo ye no so nka homa e
kwan se de kan ase aye ne de na kwan yemi na mi nim se bia omo ye we no asa aye bridge ni nyina aha ni nyina aka ho na mo se omo ye we na omo ye nyina aka so ne de enye mesere mo an se ye sra ban na se obeya se omo ye we no bia aso nko omo ye sa na bridge ni kakra ne maye nya kwan yemi ahanum de dangerous because amana mienu bi da ho nti ana dwene so wo bana so wa nhwe ye na so to amana ma papa mba nti yesre we de Ghana for ya adwene no entana nhwe ansana ebeye ansana yakase enimu yanka so nti zanu mo kwan we se ufiri ho bana se wo hye akola bi ho a obuzo abenko na usuru.
The commuters want the government to fix the road after the construction of the bridge to prevent any future accidents.
Emina we mo de wa ni pasi tutom no ene pragia ni moto bikes moto no the way si tutom no enya agro nti esrempen fosa anka omonye ma omonye go taidi anka omonye njina so no anka omonye babi aboto kuro no manya sa na ano me ba sei me doje akola ba kon na me ko wura go tam no mo boam no mpeda pragia no pie ma me nipa wotim kura wo prae nti esrempen fosa omonhwe no omonye hono manya sa haye pa haye pa.
Pliers of the road have lamented on the poor nature of the road. They therefore urge the government to intervene. For Globe TV News, Idrisu Hamzata.
We do have for you the latest in the world of sports right after this short break.
Well, good morning and welcome to the sports segment of the Wake Up Show. My name is Vincent Forgor. Now, let me take you through the headlines of today's stories. We have the UEFA Champions League. That is the round of 16. Napoli defeated Frankfurt 2-0. Real Madrid defeated Liverpool 5-2 at Anfield. We have the highlights for you. Now, Jurgen Klopp is the manager of Liverpool. He spoke after the game. We also take a look at Manchester City's preparation ahead of their game against Leipzig tonight. Now, Pep Guardiola happens to be the manager of Manchester City. He has spoken ahead of their game against Leipzig. We also take a look at former Black Star players visits Christian Achu's family house. The likes of Asamoah and Ajman Badu all went to Christian Achu's family house. We also take a look at Stephen Appiah, the former captain of the Black Stars of Ghana. He has spoken about Christian Achu, how good he was, and where he first met Christian Achu. Also, GFA to stage or unveil Chris Hilton. That is from Henry Asante Chum. That is the communications director of the Ghana Football Association. Also, first batch of boots for Premier League and Division 1 players have arrived. That is from the Ghana Football Association. Now, Hearts of Hope won't be in the top 4. That is from Yaya Mohammed. Let's do a quick break. The details of these stories returns after the break. All right, so thank you very much for staying with us. Let's start with the UEFA Champions League round of 16. Yesterday in Germany, Frankfurt were defeated by Napoli 2-0. Also in England, Liverpool scored first but were defeated by Real Madrid 5-2.
Globe TV, bringing the world to you. Globe TV, bringing the world to you. Globe TV, bringing the world to you. Globe TV, bringing the world to you.
Well, so huge defeat for Liverpool in the first leg. So what will the second leg bring? Now, their manager, Jurgen Klopp, spoke after the game. He spoke of what went wrong for his team.
Yeah, best with the beginning, it was outstanding. It was us in a nutshell. It was perfect, exactly how we wanted to play, causing problems all over the place. We're really in the game, super intense start, 2-0 up. I think the whole first half was good, besides the goals. Obviously, the first goal, we became slightly passive, a bit higher up.
Now, enough of Liverpool against Real Madrid. Today, Leipzig takes on Manchester City. Let's take a look at the preparation of Manchester City ahead of their game against RB Leipzig of Germany. So the likes of Erling Braut Haaland all present in training. Pep Guardiola also was present to take over affairs in training. Now, away from Manchester City's training, their manager Pep Guardiola has spoken ahead of their game against Leipzig. He said, right after the draw, he knew Leipzig was a very strong team.
Right after the draw, I knew it. I felt it. That will be a real tough opponent. So, from my experience, we face any opponent should be comfortable for us. But the reality is completely different. We know the quality of them. For many years, this club have an own culture for the young players, recruitment and physicality, clear patterns to play, really good to the channels, a lot of play in the middle, physicality in German football, especially Leipzig, let them make the transition, are unstoppable. Right.
All right, so that was Pep Guardiola, the manager of Manchester City. Now, away from Pep Guardiola, let's take a look at former Black Stars players. We have Asamoah Sule Ali Muntari and also Stephen Appiah and Ajman Bade and Co. visited Chris Inachu's family house. At Chris Inachu's family house, Stephen Appiah, the former captain of the Black Stars of Ghana, has spoken about Chris Inachu, how good he was and where he first met him.
So time na me Italy na me professional football or outside no. Time me buy so every Mondays no bo Monday special or Bauleshi Park. And you buy there was this short guy now. Oh, higher pa those days na place na Jinamubi. I mean, Derek Boating Musuli una there. So let me see, I dey wa Messi say wo Ghana na and you born na me say Oseku for mo omo ninu kasa na there. So next time na me back holidays na me say you see Obi Obi abe hun wo park ni so into ma fa na ko. Luckily ni so at time na I was part of the Black Star.
Also, everybody's talking very good about Chris Inachu. That was Stephen Appiah, the former captain of the Black Stars of Ghana. Let's move on to the Ghana Football Association as they will hold ceremony to officially unveil Chris Hughton as the manager of Black Stars, that is Henry Asante Chum. The Ghana Football Association has indicated that it will unveil the new Black Stars coach Chris Hughton at an unveiling ceremony. According to the communications director Henry Asante Chum, the contract details with the new Black Stars coach will be made public at the ceremony. So that is what is coming from Henry Asante Chum. Now, first batch of football boots for Premier League and Division 1 clubs have arrived. That is from the Ghana Football Association. The Ghana Football Association has taken delivery of the first batch of the football boots to be distributed to Premier League and Division 1 league clubs. So let's give a thumbs up to the Ghana Football Association. That's it for sports this morning. My name is Vincent Forgor. Thank you very much for your time.
Area and his kingmakers has been revoked by the Bolgatanga High Court. Government advised providing incentives to motivate teachers to accept postings in rural communities. And President of the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, Mrs. Rose Margaret Asubonten, says the country does not have a comprehensive digital map base to support geo-information delivery. Well, that's all for you this morning. I am Sandra Edu. Coming up now is Yes Say No Say. Do enjoy the rest of the programs.